everyone, welcome to my channel. Let me see if we are recording or if we aren't. Yes, we are recording. So at first I want to wish you a happy new year. My voice is a little off because I have a little issues with my voice in the moment. I hope you can still hear me clear. I wanted to talk about how the last months went for me, some exciting things. My girls are here, I'll show you. There are Claire and Georgia. Miss Adele is crawling around. Here's Miss Melanie in the maxi cozy, and Miss Haley is still in the bed. Let's see if I can get her. Miss Haley is there. And here are my reborn clothing buckets. And I thought it was a nice thing to do to sort through my clothing. This is the big girls, so only for Georgia, Claire, Adele and Haley. And I have some for Melanie, of course, but they're in separate buckets. Some things I will sort out and decide, hey, she never wore this, or it's too big, or that kind of stuff. And I will get rid of them. I have been decluttering my own closet, not yesterday, but the day before. Or was it yet? No, it was yesterday. We just brought that load away, and I really want to make a skirt. And I don't know if I can, because I have a sewing machine and I can sew some things. I've made cloth pads in the cloth menstrual pads in the a few years back, but I never made anything of clothing. And I wouldn't say I would be a natural sewer, so I hope that is going to be right. But I am a history buff anyway. I love, there's a pattern by Wildflower Designs. I will, if I think about it, try to post the link in the description. It's a pattern that is based on 18th century women's clothing. So the skirt band is adjustable to size, which would be very nice, but it's also a nice round and fluffy skirt. So that is what I want to try to make. I don't know if I get to it and if I find enough fabric. Fabric is expensive, but I would love to try that. But we'll see, and I'll take you along if I'll do. So let's not stall. I will show you some clothing and maybe say something about clothing, but I first want to update you on how I'm doing. In the moment, I'm doing quite fine. The last week I was still a bit tired of all the festivities going on, and clear to me, but maybe not to you. My husband and I do all the Christmas and New Year's things by ourselves. We don't have contact with our families. I only have small contact with my brother, but that's that. We don't have a lot of friends. I have made friends, brain acts, but it are not those friendships that you can ask to come home, or they're not on that level yet. And I'm very I'm backing out when things got too close, so I'll try to prevent that from happening for first establishing a good bond with people. So I shouldn't be that tired, you think? Only my husband and me and doing what we want. But I always get very tired from the holidays. And last week I was with my therapist and we spoke a little about it to try and find out, hey, what causes that? And it seems to be mental stimulation, mental overstimulation, but also you can get mentally overstimulated by thoughts. And I have a lot of thoughts and feelings and things going through me that makes things more difficult. And that will wear me out. The years before, when we still had a dog, the dog would help me to get out because I had to let the dog out. And now, since we don't have a dog, I don't get out a lot and I need that sunlight. I do take vitamin D, but that still doesn't take the edges off. And we've had a very, very dark weather last weeks. Luckily today is a very clear day, so my husband and I went outside to get some sunlight in. But last week it was dark and gloomy and rainy and cold. It's still cold today, but it's not rainy. And that does a lot on my mental state. I usually feel more and more depressed in that moment. But luckily today I feel good, and yesterday I felt pretty good. I cleaned up downstairs and we took the Christmas tree back up the attic and we did all that kind of stuff. So it's been a good 2 days and I hope to keep it up. And in December I had a Brain X group, and who is new here will not know what that is, but I have brain damage from childhood on. I was born with it, so to say. And there is a group run by volunteers, fully run by volunteers, for young people with brain damage. And because there was a lot for older people with brain damage, or older people with dementia and that kind of things. But there were never anything for young people, and there are big groups of young people who suffer from brain damage or things that have to do with the brain. And brain damage is different from developmental delays. Developmental delays, people with mental retardation or other forms of mental delays, they are usually on a totally different level. They're usually functioning on way lower mental levels, so they're grown up, but they still behave like a child of 7, you say. So that when you have brain damage, that is not necessarily the case. You still can feel and be your own age, but have trouble functioning fully because of the brain damage. So you don't fit in with that mental developmental delay group, but you also don't fall in the group that are completely healthy and are able to take things themselves. So this group was very kindly 10 years ago started by some volunteers for exactly that younger crowd. So I believe in the moment our age ranges between 20 and 60. I think, if I must guess, the oldest must be around between 50 and 60, I think, but I'm not sure. So young is a quite broad spectrum, so to say. Um, but this group, we come together usually once a month, but from a little before COVID, things started to happen, and we couldn't do it exactly once a month, so last year's it was once every 2 months. We would come together and the volunteers would have a thought of an activity to do, or we would go somewhere to do an activity, and it has all to do with brain because we all want to learn and know how we function and what we can do, what we still can do, who we are now, because I have my brain damage since birth, so I don't know myself any different. But take someone who had functioned for a big part of their life normally, and then acquired brain damage through an accident or having a tumor or that kind of stuff that can also give brain damage. And those people will notice slight or big changes. So you have to learn to deal with your new self. And that's also what this group does. So it's always very nice, and I come there since 2017 or 2018. I'm not quite sure, one of these times. And I always enjoy it very much. And last December we had what we always do in December. We had our Sinterkerst feest. So here in the Netherlands, I live in the Netherlands, and we have not only Santa for Christmas, but we have the 5th of December, and that is our St. Nicholas Day, Sinterklaas, which is related, which is actually the start of Santa Claus, as most Americans and most other people know him. Saint Nick is the start of that, but we still celebrate Sinterklaas. So in Brain Act we make the combination of the two to celebrate everything in one go. And then, so we did it again in December, and we went there, but in November, one of the people attending usually had suddenly passed away in November, which had shocked me. We have a Facebook page, so that was already shared and told, but we didn't know how. We only knew, hey, he passed away, and that it was suddenly. So we started this group meeting off by remembering that person and another person that I personally haven't known, but she was at the beginning when this group started. She was there, and later on she couldn't join anymore, but she also passed away. So for the people that did know her, we also remembered her, of course. So the first thing, I am terrified of speaking before crowds. It's a terrifying thing for me. And I usually just keep my mouth shut and listen to what other people have to say. But now I felt so safe in the group that I wanted to share a beautiful memory that I had of this person I knew. And I decided and I pushed myself to share. And I got praised for that. Hey, we love that you shared this with us. Almost, we know that it's difficult for you to share things, so we are happy that you feel safe and that you share. So that was very beautiful already. Then later on, we ate something, then we chatted and we had some fun, and then we also did what we call Brain Olympics. We have some kind of sports events, just little fun games. As usually that is one activity that is done in a year, but had to be postponed, so we also took that to December. So it was a very full day, I can tell you that. But then we had some games, and because of my childhood trauma, I am a childhood trauma survivor. I suffer from complex PTSD due to that, and the volunteers in the group know that. And a very specific thing with me is that I have difficulties allowing people behind me, trusting people that are behind me, and especially men. So we did a game and we had to be blindfolded, and then we call that ezeltje prik. you put a needle and you have to put it blindfolded into the bullseye, so to say. So we did that, and I got blindfolded, which is scary when you have childhood trauma, I can tell you that. But I felt safe enough to do that. But then, of course, I had to be guided to the board, and the volunteer that was with my little group. Usually volunteers split up to make smaller groups in this kind of activity. It is a male, and I know him pretty long, and I do trust him. But being blindfolded is still scary, so I had to push myself. But I trusted him enough for him to take my hand and guide me to the board. He's always very clear with me, even when he just does some things for other people and he has to pass behind me. He always says, "Hey, I'm here, right? I don't want to scare you, I'm here." So it's very nice, and I really felt I could trust him. So I did wonderfully. And what always happened, then we do a little thing. There are some gifts given, and the Sinterkerstman, so the Santa Nicholas comes along. So one of the volunteers is dressing up and being the old guy, and then for each person there is a little story or a little poem made about what year they had and that kind of stuff. So we sit in a circle, and everybody gets that little attention. So that was very nice. And actually this year it was the son of our one of our volunteers, the adult son, almost adult. He's not completely adult yet, but he's getting up there. And I'm not too familiar with him, but I know him from when he was a little younger. So I found it a little bit scary, but I did well. And so I did truly well, and when everything was done, I felt that two of the volunteers, that male and one of the females, they always take that step further in my case. And when I would need help in something, or I'm at home would say I'm at home and something happened and I just can't deal with my emotions and Patrick can't seem to help me, and there's no one else to reach, my helps are not to reach, then I am able and allowed to call one of them and, hey, try to speak it out with them. So they always are willing to take that step outside. So I felt very, I feel very loved through that. And I wanted to express that for a little while already, but I never got myself over that line. And now I did. I stepped up and I said, hey, C and K, I would love to speak to you in private for a moment. Nothing wrong, just want to speak to you. And then I walked up to them and said, hey, I really want to give you a hug, for you always being supportive of me and always be with me when I need you, and I really want to give you that hug. And C, who is our male volunteer, he knows how big of a step that is for me to physically give a man a hug. So he looked at me and he said, you're right. I said, yes, I think I'm all right. So he opened his arms and he said, you're sure? I said, yes, I'm sure. And I gave him a hug. So that was very humbling to him, I think, because he got a little teary-eyed in that moment. So that was very sweet. And then I gave Kay a hug. And then to me, a little tears came, and I always try to push them away. But she said, hey, let them come. If they need to be here, let them be here. So I took that moment to really stay there and let these tears come for a few minutes, and that was fine. So that was, it are very big steps. I hope you could follow my ramblings. I'm always very rambly. And I thought I'm going to tell this story while I was doing my reborn stuff. But I think I'll have to go through my reborn stuff after this, because this is already 20 minutes long. So let's make this a wrap, and then I immediately film my cleanup of the clothing, and then I'll make 2 videos out of it. You may see the clothing sorting in about 2 days, but it could always also be tonight. You never know. But for now I rambled long enough. For now, Brain Act Group is put on hold for a moment, unfortunately. Because they want to change some structure, and they really want to make it a foundation instead of just a volunteer group. And that takes a little time and takes some official paperwork and stuff, and find a way. So for now, a few months, no Brain Act Group, but I hope they settle soon and we can go on and on again. Because I really, really like it. I'm very happy today. I hope you are too. And I'll see you very soon. Bye.